Okay, welcome to our Toxic Parents Book Club. We are, where are we today? We're on the top of page 56. Thank you very much, Kamala. Okay, we're on the top of 56, and we are slowly getting our way through. Okay, I had it folded over on the top of 56. Okay. That's strange. So where did you... Okay. I had, why does she always have to help as the big, I think is where I folded it. 56, the first kind of paragraph down. Why does she always have to help? Does anybody have something different? I think that's... Okay. Okay. One of the most common types of toxic manipulators is the helper. Instead of letting go, the helper creates situations to make him or herself needed in the adult child's life. This manipulation often comes packaged as well-meaning but unwanted assistance. Lee, 32, is an outgoing, freckled-faced, former top-seeded amateur tennis player who's been doing very well as a tennis pro at a country club. Despite an active social life, professional recognition, and a good job, she was going into regular periods of deep depression. Her relationship with her mother quickly dominated our first session together. I worked very hard. I think we read this, right? No? Okay. I worked very hard to get where I am, but my mother doesn't think I can tie my own shoes. I think we did. Okay. Little review. Okay, at the top of 57. Okay. Okay, thank you. I'll just finish these last few sentences of 56, and then we'll start fresh on 57. So, just for a review, her whole life is wrapped up in me, and it's gotten much worse since my dad died. She just doesn't let up. She's always bringing food over to my apartment. Yeah, remember we were talking about this, how the mom's has no boundaries, right? And she's just pressing herself on her because she doesn't think I eat well enough. Sometimes I come back to my place and find that she's come in and she's cleaned it as a favor. I remember talking about that. Okay. She's even rearranged my clothes and furniture. I asked Lee if she'd ever simply asked her mother to stop doing these things. All the time. She just wells up with tears and she cries. Yeah, we talked about that. Right? What's wrong with a mother who helps a daughter she loves? Last month I was invited to play a tournament in San Francisco. My mother went on and on about how far it was and how I couldn't possibly drive the whole way by myself. So she volunteered to come with me. When I told her she really didn't have to, she acted like I was trying to trick her out of a free vacation. So I said, okay. I had really been looking forward to the time alone, but what could I say? As Lee and I worked together in therapy, she began to see how much her feelings of competence had been undermined by her mother. But whenever Lee tried to express her frustration, she was overwhelmed by guilt because her mother appeared to be so loving and caring. Lee became increasingly angry at her mother, and since she couldn't let it out, she had to hold it in. Eventually, it found an outlet as depression. Of course, her depression just fed the cycle. Her mother never missed an opportunity to say things such as, "Look how down in the mouth you look. Let me fix a little lunch just to cheer you up." On those rare occasions when Lee did work up the courage to tell her mother how she felt, her mother would become the tearful martyr. Lee would invariably feel guilty and try to apologize, but her mother would cut her off with, "Don't worry about me, I'll be all right." I suggested to Lee that if her mother had been more direct in asking for what she wanted, Lee wouldn't have been so angry, and Lee agreed. So I don't know if you guys have any experience with people who get like that, you know. They're kind of like do passive aggressive, you know. They're not direct with you. They don't say directly how they feel, and then they get upset with you, you know. And so you feel like I can't really do anything right, you know. It's a very tricky relationship if somebody's not clear and direct, and then they expect you to take care of their feelings. Can you see how that is here? Right? she says that whenever Lee, the daughter, tried to express her frustration, she felt overwhelmed with guilt because her mother appeared to be so loving and so caring, right? And then her mother also never missed an opportunity to see Lee when she was feeling down. So, like if the mother didn't need Lee to manipulate Lee, if the mother was happy on her own, then she would be seeing the daughter when she's up. She'd be pointing out all the times the daughter's up, but instead she's pointing out when the daughter, look, see, you feel down, and that means you need me, so let me make something for you. You know? It also can make her feel more depressed, because if she's already feeling down because she can't express how she feels to her mother, the mother's the main person in your childhood who should see how you feel. So she's had probably a chronic problem her whole life, right? Because if the mother can't validate how you feel, then you won't really know how to do it, actually. Either you'll overdo it, you overshare, you undershare, you don't share at all, and you only care about other people's feelings. You know, you learn how to do that dance with mom. And because her mother wasn't validating her feelings, she just holds them in, and then she gets depressed. She gets angry, and then she gets depressed, you know? And the mother likes that. The mother's like, oh, good, you need me now. And she points it out. That's why she's pointing it out. I can make something for you. I'll make something for you. You know, that means, you know, you're mine. I've got you. She doesn't want Lee to be independent and happy. I mean, then that means she doesn't need the mother. You know, that's a theme we're seeing in this book, of the parents who kind of need the daughter or son more than they need the parent, you know. They don't want the child to become independent as an adult and happy without them. It's a threat. It feels like a threat, you know. It feels like, I just gave you 20 years, 30 years of my life taking care of you. How could you not need me? How could you be happy without me? You know?
Can you again explain how this it leads to depression in Lee?
In Lee. So what happens is when any person, not just Lee, but any of us, if we can't express how we feel, you know, especially if it's anger, that is such a strong feeling. And if you can't say, Mom, I'm angry at you, stop coming into my space and redoing my things. I didn't invite you to do that. You know, I don't like it when you change my things around. That's anger, but because she can't express it, because the mom starts crying. When you hold in anger, you just think anger is like rajas, like, but if you have to hold that in, the only way you can hold it in is with tamas. Tamas has to come and sit on top of it. So that's depression. That's depression, you know. The rajas is like, I'm gonna, you know, that's the, but if you could express it, even not to the mom, maybe not to the mom, maybe to the wall, or just screaming in your room, in a pillow, or writing what you want to say. I'm not saying you have to express it to mom, but it needs to come out. And when the anger comes out, then you can go back to baseline normal. But if you can't get it out, then your body, your mind is like, oh, okay, it can't come out, it's toxic. I mean, it's very strong. So you have to put something heavy on top to hold it down. So that's tamas, and that's depression. That's why a lot of people who have depression, when they come to therapy and they're sad, they're so depressed, and I can tell they're getting better when they get angry. I'm like, just don't get mad at me, but we're doing good here. You're getting angry now, yes, but point it that way, you know, put it in the journal, you know. But it's a good sign if they're coming out of their depression when the anger starts coming. Does it make sense, Mohini? Yeah. Okay. So, so basically the mother would have a meltdown, become tearful, and then Lee would feel guilty, and then she'd apologize. And then her mother would cut her off with, you know, just don't worry about me. I'm going to be all right. So she never could even make that connection with the mother when she's trying to say, I'm sorry. You know? So if she says, Mom, I'm angry at you, the mom cries. And then she says, Mom, I'm sorry. The mom says, never mind. Don't. So it's like they can never make a full, nice heart-to-heart connection. And that's very depressing in itself if you can't connect with your mother, you know, and with your heart. Every child wants that, and every adult. Every adult's inner child, right? So I suggested to Lee that if her mother had been more direct in asking for what she wanted, Lee wouldn't have been so angry, and Lee agreed. You're right. If she could only say, I'm lonely, I miss you, I'd like you to spend more time with me. At least I'd know what I was dealing with. I'd have some choices. The way it is now, it's like she's just taken over my life. Do you guys see the difference about when you're direct? If you're just direct, especially if it's someone close, like your mother or your sister or brother, someone who you know, and you just say, I miss you, or I feel lonely. Can we do something together? Instead of doing all these, like, going into her house and rearranging her things, or crying because she tries to give her feedback, So the mom is not comfortable being direct. And that's where a lot of the problems start. So Lee doesn't know how to handle it. She has to read her mind. What is she actually trying to get at here? Why is she doing all these things, I'm sure the mom learned it from her mom. So that's hard to break, Okay. So I'm lonely, I miss you. I'd like to spend more time. I'd like you to spend more time with me. So for those of you who have been working with me individually, what we talk about a lot is your feelings, right? And the reason why is because your feelings can't be wrong. So if I just come up to you and I say, I'm lonely. You can't tell me, no, you're not lonely. Or I miss you. You can't be like, you don't miss me. So that's why that's a safe way to communicate with people. As long as it's not the negative feelings, like I'm angry at you. That's a harder conversation to have because the other person's probably not going to be ready for that or equipped. It's like, whoa. But if you say something like I'm lonely or I miss you, something, soft like that, then the person can relate and go, oh, I miss you too. And then it's like, oh, easy, So that's why the feelings are kind of the back door into your own heart and someone else's heart. That's as long as it's the positive feelings or the little bit melancholy would be okay. But as soon as you're like, I'm upset with you, I'm angry at you, I'm hurt by you, then all of a sudden the other person's like, well, let me just tell, either they'll cry, they'll fight back, but the feelings are the way, and that's what the mother can't do. So the daughter doesn't know how to do it either, other than feel guilty and bad and angry and a whole host of unvalidated feelings, by her mother. And then she said, I'd like you to spend more time with me. That's trickier. If she said, I'm lonely and I miss you, but I'd like you, it's your fault. You need to spend more time with me to make me not lonely. That's one I wouldn't say would be a good one to say. Nainshri?
I've seen, Joshika, that sometimes when we express our feelings to people who are maybe not so much aware about their feelings, if I say to them that I miss you, and they say to me that no, you don't miss me. They don't trust even the feelings. So
Yeah.
it becomes harder to share with them what can we really do to them.
You should be aware of who you're talking to, So if you already know that probably they're not that in touch with their feelings, it's going to be a trigger for them if you say, I miss you. Because then that makes them feel like they did something wrong. It's their fault, Oh, you miss me? That means I haven't been there enough for you. Is that what you're saying? So I miss you would be safe with someone who you're used to talking about your feelings with. Because even I miss you, it can be taken the wrong way. Or if people, like you said, no, you don't miss me. There's many weird reactions you can get if people aren't used to, they're not in touch with their feelings, So that's a good point. It's not always so easy to have that kind of conversation with people. Especially people that you think, oh, this would be easy. It's my friend, it's my mother, it's someone I've known a long time. It's not so easy if they don't talk that way. It's like a different language, And it makes somebody feel very vulnerable. Or if you say something like, I'm feeling sad because, my cat died or something, they'll say, oh, she's in a better place. It's like, that's not helpful. My cow just died, I feel really sad. Oh, he's with Krishna now. It's like, okay, but I feel sad, right? So this is the thing is, a lot of people don't know how to deal with the feelings. So that's why the main thing is all roads lead back to the inner child, like you taking care of your own feelings, realizing them, taking care of them. So by the time you say, I miss you, it's not that you're dying and crying, I miss you so much. Then that's too much for the other person, But if you're like, something like I miss you, but it's light because you've already digested and taken care of your inner child and you're more stable, then it's easier to say it because you're not looking for some big response back. So then the heart-to-heart connection can happen or not. And you're not like, oh my God, I needed them to say I miss you too, you know. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So then the mother would say, don't worry about me, I'm all right. So then they said, you know, it would be better if the mother could say, like, I'm lonely or I miss you, I'd like you to spend more time with me. Then Lee said, well, at least I'd know what I was dealing with. I'd have some choices. The way it is now, it's like she's taken over my life. When Lee bemoaned her lack of choices, she was echoing what many adult children of manipulative parents believe. Manipulation paints people into a corner. To fight it, they have to hurt someone who's just trying to be nice. For many people, it seems easier to just give in. So have you guys experienced that, where there's somebody in your life and you feel a little bit kind of controlled by them or manipulated by them, and then you try to get out of it, and you could be really nice, and you just say something very gentle, and then they get upset. And then you feel like, oh, you know what, just forget it. When that person asks me to do that thing that I don't want to do, I'm just going to say yes, because they get too upset otherwise. Like I remember when I was growing up, my father's father was very pushy, you know. And he would call every Sunday. And my father it's his father, you know, he's like, oh God, Grandpa's calling. And he'd like run out of the house. He was like the worst role model, you know, for that. And he's like, you talk to him, to my mother, you know. And she's like, hi, Grandpa, or whatever, you know, how are you? And he's like, how are the kids? And how's everybody doing in school? How are they doing in sports? This and that, you know, just pressing. You know, it wasn't like a conversation. It was like a drill sergeant. He had his checklist and he wants to know, you know. And then he's like, now they call me Jessie, you know, put Jessie on the phone. I'm like, hi, Grandpa. And he'd be like, how's the soccer going? How's math? Are you doing better? How's your chemistry? And I'm like, you have to go down the checklist. Now he's like, get Joy. Now get Joy. I'm like, Joy, it's Grandpa. Hi, Grandpa, you know. So none of us are going to be rude and not do it, but you know what I mean? It's not like a joyful thing. I couldn't be like, how are you? How are things? You just have to be like, yes, yes, no, no, yes, yes, no, no. You know? So those types of people, you know, they're either in a position of authority, like a grandfather, and you just put up with them. You can't make a real relation. Or they're your boss, or just somebody in your life you have to just kind of go along with, you know, because you don't want to upset them. I can't imagine if one of us said, no, Grandpa, I don't want to speak to you. Woo! That wasn't an option, you know. So that's kind of how it feels when you're in a relationship where you kind of feel manipulated, like you kind of have to do it, but you can't have a real discussion with them and try to make it better, you know. There's lots of situations like that. And so that can make you, if you have a lot of relationships like that, it can make you depressed because you can't really be yourself. You just have to be this toy that's getting manipulated. Hi, Grandpa, like, yep, no. You know, it's like, who can get off the phone the fastest, you know, basically. And my dad was the worst. It's his father. He's like, I'm out on a run. I'm like, no, you're not. He's like running out of the house and I'm like, no, Dad's not back yet, you know. Anyway, so this is kind of a tricky situation, and especially if it's with a parent or a grandparent or someone that you can't get out of. You just say, well, it's better to just do it. It's 5 minutes of annoyance. You have to learn how to tolerate, kind of thing, you know. And that's one of those lessons that we really can't change anybody else. We have to just kind of look at our situation and realize who's that person in my life, and you know, what do I have? Do I just have to suffer through it, tolerate, or can I get out of it? And oftentimes when we get in trouble is when we think, I'm going to tell that person off, and it's your boss, or your father, or your grandfather, or somebody it's not a negotiation. It's not up for conversation, you know? But ahankara makes us think like, well, I'm going to tell them, I'm going to use my skills and explain how I feel, and they're like, I don't care how you feel. I don't care. You know, or like, I'm going to make a boundary with that person. Good luck. You're just going to piss them off, you know. So this is the part of the thing when you're learning Vedic psychology. It's like we're learning how to crawl, you know, then walk, and one day run. But we get excited when we learn a few new things, and it's like, it's all about the feelings. You know, shouldn't I just tell them how I feel? I feel disgusted by you. Can you please change yourself? I mean, you know, so we have to remember that we're in a kind of safe space, almost like a learning lab with each other, the people who are here, because you're interested in it. So we can practice with each other, but even that, you should say, hey, I want to practice saying my feelings to you. Would you be okay with that? Sometimes we don't even do that. We're like, oh, they're practicing Vedic psychology too. I'll just dump it on them. So that's a boundary issue. We have to say to the person, okay, we have to be, because Vedic psychology is all about your level of awareness, meaning your level of awareness of yourself, your feelings, and the other person. How would the other person feel if they're in the middle of whatever, reading a book, and you're like, I feel so disgusted by you? It's like you're just dumping it on. So we have to be very careful who we decide to share our feelings with, and when, and how, and ask for permission. Would you be open? And many people say, I'm not open to talking about that. I don't want to hear about your feelings. And that's also okay. They're giving you a sign they don't want to hear it. Fine. You take care of your own feelings. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It means they don't want to take care of your feelings. They don't want to connect in that way. Because imagine how many times in your life you've had so many just beautiful, overwhelmingly good feelings that you've wanted to come up to the person and tell them that. There's usually not an urgency for that. The urgency is, I want to tell you all my bad feelings about you and how much you've triggered me. That's usually the urgency to talk to somebody about your feelings. It's not that we're like, I'm just so in love with how wonderful of a person you are and how you've treated me so nicely and all the wonderful things. Do you have some time for me to tell you that? I've never experienced somebody coming up to me to say that. Usually if it's a very strong desire, it's pressing you to do it, it's because your inner child is so triggered. She or he is having a complete tantrum and you don't know how to resolve it, so you've got to go tell the person, and they're gonna say, oh, you're right, I'm such a jerk, I'm so disgusting, I'm so sorry about that. That's what the inner child wants us to do. If we're not aware of who's driving the boat, Okay. So when Lee bemoaned her lack of choices, she was echoing what many adult children, right, of manipulative parents believe. Manipulation paints people into a corner, right? You either fight it, they have to hurt someone who's just trying to be nice, like my grandfather calling every Sunday. For most people, it seems easier you just give in. Hi, Grandpa, 'Tis the season to be melancholy. Manipulative parents have a field day on holidays, spreading guilt as if it were Christmas cheer. Holidays tend to intensify whatever family conflicts already exist. Instead of anticipating holiday pleasure, many people find themselves dreading the rise of family tensions that holidays often bring. One of my clients, Fred, a 27-year-old grocery clerk and the youngest of 4 siblings, told me a story of classic manipulation by his mother. My mother always made a big deal about all of us coming home for Christmas. Last year, I won a radio contest and I got a free trip to Aspen, which is in Colorado. It's a really nice skiing place, like a skiing resort. Over the holidays, I was really excited since I could never afford a trip like this myself. I love skiing, and it was an incredible chance for me to take my girlfriend someplace great. We'd both been working so hard. This vacation sounded like heaven. But when I broke the news to my mom, she looked like somebody had just died. Her eyes glazed up and her lips started trembling, like she was going to cry. Then she said, "It's okay, honey. You have a good time. Maybe we just won't even have Christmas dinner this year." Which really made me feel like a real turd. Do you guys know what a turd is? Poop. A turd means poo-poo. That's how bad this guy felt, Who was it? What was the guy? Fred. Fred felt so bad, like a piece of poop, because he made his mom cry about the Christmas, that he was going to go away. I asked Fred whether he had managed to go on the trip anyway. And he said, yeah, I went, but I had the worst time of my life. I was in such a horrible mood that I kept fighting with my girlfriend. I spent half the trip on the phone with my mother. Oh my God. And both my brothers and my sister. And I was apologizing all over the place. It just wasn't worth the agony. I was frankly surprised that Fred had gone on his trip at all. I've seen people go to far more extravagant lengths to avoid feeling guilty. than canceling a trip. Manipulative parents are masters of guilt, and Fred's mother was no exception. What do you guys think of that? I mean, his job was not easy. I think, what was he, a grocery store clerk? That's a hard job, you know? It's a very hard job, and you're not making much money. So he won this trip to Colorado to go skiing. That's a very expensive place. It's a ritzy place, you know? So now he finally gets to go, he and his girlfriend, you know? And the mom made him feel so bad. He's on the phone the whole time with her, and she ruins it, you know? So, let's help our friend Fred. Imagine that you were Fred's friend, and he did phone a friend, and he's like, I'm so stressed out, my mom is ruining it, I'm just calling and apologizing to her all the time. I feel so horrible, I feel so guilty. What should I do? Should I just cancel this Aspen thing? Let's just leave early, forget about it, it's not worth it. I should just go back and be with my mom. Imagine he called you and said that. What would you say if you're his friend? What would you advise our dear friend Fred, who's worked his butt off? He won this nice vacation. It's getting ruined. Are there any mics around? Okay, Kamala. What would you tell our dear friend Fred?
Well, I would say you deserve to have a little bit of break because you work so hard, and by good luck you got this present, and you can enjoy with your girlfriend and bond with her and being together with her and just be happy, and there's nothing wrong in that. Maybe you can tell to your mom that when you're there you can say hello or send a postcard and just be there.
Okay.
And don't feel too much uncomfortable.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Okay, now I want somebody to respond to Kamala as if you're Fred. Channel your Fred. Okay? Mm-hmm. Keep your mic. If you can turn the thing up a little so we can hear Kamala better. Because I couldn't, it's a little hard to hear you. So, okay, so that's Kamala talking to Fred. Now one of you guys be Fred. What would you say back to her?
Yeah, I understand, but it's easier to say than to actually do it. You didn't have my mom on the phone. She was really like pissed off and she was so scared. Like, I cannot go to the trip. Like, can you imagine? I'm gonna ruin her Christmas.
Go ahead, Fred. Look at,
Fred.
Fred's friend. Tell Fred.
Fred, how old are you?
I think if I were Fred, I'd hang up.
Oh my God.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
you?
That sounds
That's
a
not a friend,
lot
is
like a judgment to me.
Yeah.
You're not my friend.
He already feels guilty enough.
Okay. So then I will say, but you were so lucky to win the trip, and this one only one time, and why you would not like to take the good fortune that you got to have a nice time with your girlfriend?
No, I want to, but what about my mom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know, I cannot just dump her like this. I have some responsibility.
Okay. So she will be alone there for Christmas?
No. Family will be there, but I'll be the only son who's not gonna be there. Oh my God, I'm so... it's terrible. I'm so ashamed. No, I have to go.
So then...
You can phone a friend.
Yeah.
On your side.
Yeah.
Who wants to help Kamala? What would you say if you're the friend of Fred and Fred's called? Who wants to help Kamala? Go ahead, Jaya. You're the friend of Fred. And give Janava your mic so she can respond back to Jaya, okay? So Janava's Fred, and Jaya's going to try to be her good friend and help her out. Thank you, Kamala. It's hard. Mm-hmm.
I may not manage the whole discussion, but I would know how to start.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I would say, yeah, Fred, I understand you very well. I've listened to you, and I can just feel how you must going through a difficult time. She's your mother, so...
Yeah, thank you so much. And I feel like you really understand me. So yeah, I feel completely hopeless. I don't know what to do because I want to go to that trip, but oh man, she's my mom.
Yeah, mother is very important. So how can we solve this?
She's oh, it was turned off.
But yeah, so mother is very important. So how are we going to solve this? We should see that your mother is happy. It goes off automatically.
You can just go back and forth with the same mic that works, yeah.
Yeah. So, so yes, now how to do this, because it's very important that your mother is also happy. At the same time, you are my friend, and I also like to see you happy.
Good.
So how can we find a compromise? Shall we think and plan something how to solve this problem?
Yeah, I feel very heard and it sounds like a good, plan, and I appreciate your help because it touches me when you told me that you want to see me happy, and I want to be happy. I want to go to that trip. Actually it was my dream and I worked so hard. I want to enjoy there. So I appreciate that you want to try to find a solution. So I think we can find a way that, can be a good in-between things.
Yes, we should find a solution. Yeah, it's nice that you would go. I would also be happy to see that you are happy because you worked so hard for it. So let's find a way to talk to your mom. And there must be something that she is very happy with that you would do for her. Maybe you can promise her to go out somewhere when you come back from the trip. Something or other we should find. Is there something that she likes?
Should I carry you?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, of course she likes many things. I can always bring her like nice gifts and all, but I'm just so scared that, I come every single year and never miss a Christmas, And she was already crying. I'm afraid if I just talk to her and say I will not go, she will start yelling and crying all over again. And I cannot stand her. Like when she's crying, I feel so bad.
It's true. That's how Fred is. It's a difficult one, right?
Yeah, it's so difficult.
It's a difficult one, especially with mother.
Yeah.
And he said he's already there, and he said he just keeps calling her the whole day with the sisters and the brothers and the mothers, apologizing. And it's not stopping.
And you know what is worse is that it's not only my mom, because I had my siblings also. And when I told them that I will be in this holiday thing, they say, well, you did that. So not only I have the pressure and the guilt of my mom, but also I feel like the whole family is against it.
Yeah, that makes it worse. And is there no one else besides your siblings, maybe some other family member or a very close friend of your mom, so that someone could convince her, maybe someone who is senior to her, because you are the son, so there might be somebody else who is more senior, and that she could take some advice.
I think Vilas wants to add something. He had his hand up. Do you want to help Jaya or help Janova?
Yeah, I would like to give it a shot on Jaya's side and join your team.
Okay, Jaya. So far it's been Kamala, Jaya, and Vilas. You got 3 good friends, Janova. Good job, Jaya.
Yeah, so I'm curious how this works. So Fred, I heard how you're so much afraid of your mother being so angry and sad and how you feel guilty about that. And I would, and maybe you could ask yourself whether you would like to go on the ski trip or.
He's on the trip.
Okay.
He's been there 3-4 days.
So yes, okay. So you're already there. Good. So then I would ask, okay, you decide to go on the ski trip, and would you like to think together about how you can enjoy this trip?
How you can enjoy the trip. He said, would you like to think together how you could enjoy the trip?
Yeah, please help me, because I have my mom 24/7 and my girlfriend is always yelling because I cannot, she wants to go around and ski and do so many things, and I cannot do anything. I'm just stuck here in this hotel and I cannot move.
Okay. So I think that maybe now is a moment where you can, it sounds like you have to decide whether you want to make your mother happy, which hasn't worked up to now, or you look after yourself and for which reasons you came to this trip. Right? And what I'm thinking is this, that maybe you could express your feelings to your mother, that yes, I miss you also very much, and I miss the whole family, but I decided to be on this trip now, and I will call you when I'm back, and then you could cut the contact to your family right now, right, and just be there and enjoy your trip just like you planned. And once you come back, then you could reconnect.
Okay, so hold on. I see laughing, there's a mixed emotions here. So I want to have a show of hands, even with people online, okay? How many people think this is a good idea? So put your hand up if it's yes, that you tell your mom, you know what? I love you, I miss you, but I'm going to spend the rest of my days on the vacation that I signed up for, and I'll see you when I get back. And I'll call you then, I'll be back in a few days. How many people thinks that's a good idea? Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3. Vilas obviously does because he said it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 8. Okay, so tell me, let's hear why. Let's kind of fight for that side for a minute. Why is that a good idea? What do you think, Vera? Can you give Vera the mic? And after we'll do Nyayanshri. Why is that a good idea to tell the mom, you know what, I'm going to enjoy my vacation and I'll see you in a few days?
It's the best idea because the other option is really wrong.
Because Fred's been suffering for days, right? He's been there on days and he's just chronically
and
upset.
there is a possibility of compromise. As he can go to the trip and then go back to the family for Christmas, for New Year's Eve or something like that. So everything can be done.
Yeah.
When he doesn't have to give up. Because it will be so much worse for him.
Yeah.
Not to go at all.
Yeah. Okay. Nyayanshri and then Janava, okay? Good, Vera, thank you.
So I think that it would be a good idea because Fred actually worked so hard to get into this trip with his girlfriend, and he was looking forward to it. He wanted to do it so hardly. If he would have thought that, okay, I will be happy with my mother, so I would say that he would be more happy to be in this trip if he would be allowed. So one thing is this, and second thing is...
So let me just clarify. The issue is not that he's going on the trip. He's there. The question is it a good idea for him to tell his mother after being on the trip for 3 or 4 days, and he's been on the phone apologizing, right? So my question is, which is what Vilas said, he's already on the trip. It's not should he go or not. While he's on there, is it a good idea to tell his mom, I'll talk to you in a few days when I get back? That's the question. Is that a good idea to say that? And basically, so he has a few days where he can just have fun with his girlfriend and not be on the phone apologizing to his mother, his brothers, his sisters for most of the day. That's what he's been doing so far on the trip. So if you say yes, then be clear about why. Just 2 sentences. Why?
So if he will keep talking to his mother, nothing is going to be solved, and he's going to be into the guilt trip again and again. So better to put a boundary so that he can at least have the time, enjoy it.
So he can enjoy his time?
Yeah, enjoy his time and then back.
Okay, good. Janava? Janava's a yes, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit in doubt at first when Vila said that, because I could feel the mother say, well, if you really miss me, you will not have gone to the trip. I could have, see what was wrong, but in the same time, I agree that it could be a good option because, like Vila said, the mom cannot change and will not change. So he has to change and put his boundaries and say,
that's the
look,
only option.
Mom, I'm already on the trip.
Yep.
And like you said before, Joshika, that is also good to say, I miss you, to be just in your emotion and say, I really do miss you, Mom, and, I wish I could be with you. But, it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me to be on this trip, and I really want to enjoy it. And I will let you know everything that went well on this trip once I get back. But I really need to enjoy my time with my girlfriend now.
Yeah.
But I will get back to you as soon as possible, and I really miss you, and I love you, and something like that will pacify her a little bit, hopefully.
And she's not happy now. So it's not like I'm going to try for 4 more days apologizing, she's going to be happy. Right? So she's not happy now. So anything we're going to try to do to get her to change, the whole trip will be ruined. And that's what she wants, actually. She does not want him to be happy away from her. So the idea to say, you know what, Mom? I'm sorry that I can't be there. I wish I could clone myself and there could be 2 of me. But I've chosen to go on this trip with my girlfriend and have fun. And I'll see you in 3-4 days. I'll talk to you then, right? So he can enjoy his time. But that's a very hard thing to say because the biggest fear is Mom's going to freak out even more when I get home. It's true. But is that your job? No. Okay, Mohini was going to say something.
I wanted to say that anyhow, he can't do anything.
Yeah.
And he has the option to either have a good time or have a bad time.
Yeah.
And then it won't change anyhow.
Exactly.
Because he's already there.
He's already there and she's already upset. Even if he came back on an overnight flight and he got back, that next morning, she'll just bitch to him about the fact that he went. She's not going to be happy. So that's right. Anyway. So you might as well enjoy yourself, but that's a super hard thing to do if your parent has conditioned you to feel guilty, right? And to feel that it's your job to make them happy, but it's like a losing battle. It's like having a big barrel that's full of water, but there's a huge hole in the bottom. That's how it feels like to make that mom happy. You can dump as much water as you want in there, but there's a hole at the bottom and it's pouring out. So it's not really possible. So once you realize that, you realize, like what you said, the only person you can change is yourself, because she's not going to change. She's actually benefiting from doing that behavior, So it's scary. It's scary to think of doing it, but if you want to enjoy your trip, probably the only option. And then you have to work with your own mind and your own inner child and say it's not your fault. That's her choice to behave like that. She has to take care of her own feelings. And it's my choice to enjoy my vacation now. I'm not selfish. I'm not a bad person. Were you going to say something more, Genova?
Yes, I realized that actually one of the most difficult thing is not really to deal with the mom, is to deal with your guilt. Because you can do your boundary and call your mom and that's it and hang out, but how to then enjoy the days with your girlfriend and being completely guilt-free and enjoying, and that's really tough.
And the dread of, oh my God, in 3 days I have to look at her. She's going to be so pissed at me. She's never going to let me hear the end of it. So that's why what this therapist is saying, it's easier to just go along with her. Just cancel the trip or just come home early, right? That's the manipulation. That's the trick. Vilas?
And one more reason why I recommended that is that now Fred can make an experience of how it is to live for himself, and maybe he will get some taste for it. That life is not all about making mommy happy, which is impossible in the first place. So after that, maybe some wheels will also start churning. And maybe he will reevaluate the relationship with his mother.
Yeah, it could be if he's strong enough to do that, latterly. Thank you, Vilas.
Yeah, I'm really thinking, how do you know about that? I was thinking, let's be sure he has the resources to do this. That's why I would have said, I would have listened to him with empathy, and then I would have said, I think this situation is out of my control. I'm not an expert. It's not my job. I think you should talk to a therapist right now. I'm here. I'm your friend. If you need to call me, I'll listen to you. I support you. I know how hard you've worked for this. and I'm very concerned about you, and I think right now you need some help from a professional, because it's very difficult what you're going through.
That's a very good point, because what happens is, say you convince him, and you say, you know what? You should make the boundary. Just tell her no and turn your phone off. And just say you're really good friends, and he's like, okay, I'll give it a try. What if he has a full breakdown? Because he's so hooked up with the mom, and his feelings are on hers. And that's been probably 27 years of that, right? And if you can convince him, and you can say, I've done it before, it's great, make the boundary, it works, you know, and he does it. And then he has a meltdown, and he's in Colorado, and you're like 2,000 miles away. Then guess you're gonna be there on the phone with him the whole time. Trying to help him out of it, you know. So that's a very good boundary to say, you know what, I hear you. You can validate his feelings, you know, like Jaya was doing, validate the feelings and say, this sounds so hard, so he doesn't feel alone. He feels like we can do a solution together. But then the solution would be, you know, would you be able to do a session with your therapist? That'd probably be the best. The therapist can guide you and knows you better and can support you. That's a very good point. Jonathan?
Yeah, agreeing with Ladili, the issue also can be that if you say what to do and he does it and it doesn't go well, then you can have all the blame back at you. Say, you know, I did everything that you told me, and it was actually worse. You know, so that can be also tricky.
Yeah, because do you see it? Remember how he's fighting with the girlfriend? So it's his mom's kind of a victim, and she likes to blame, and he's learned that from her. So now he's in a bad mood about the mom. Instead of dealing with it, now he's fighting with the girlfriend on the trip. So most likely, if you're the therapist, he's going to do it to you too, or the friend. That's what he does. So at least the therapist knows how to manage that and say, sorry, that's your inner child freaking out. Don't put it on me. But the friend, it can ruin the friendship. Good point. Bhagavati?
She's not agreeing with this option because she thinks this circle will continue. She will tell him that she's manipulating him. And she will advise him to talk with her mother and to be aware of what she's doing with him, that she's being manipulated.
Okay. Okay. So what Bhagavati is saying is Fred, the 27-year-old, should tell the mother, you're manipulating me, and right?
To tell her mother, yes.
Tell his mother, yeah.
In a loving way, she said.
In a loving way. So I'm not sure you're aware, Mom, but what you're doing is manipulating me. Maybe you don't realize.
Yeah. Because otherwise she will keep doing it. And even the mother cannot be aware of what she's doing.
Okay. So that's one option. If the mother oftentimes you have to see if the person has the ability to hear that message. Right? If the mother, because if the mother's doing that, she might not be able to hear it. She might go, thank you so much. I didn't realize I was being manipulative. I just love you and I miss you. It could be. But there's another option that could be that the mother gets you think I'm manipulating you? You're manipulating me. You're so ungrateful. I'm just saying I miss you and it's Christmas. How could you treat me like this? You know, it just depends. You have to know the situation. But it's good to think about options. It's good to talk through options, you know? Yeah. Yeah, good. Because we talked about if you did, everybody in the room who said yes, make the boundary, but now Bhagavati is saying, no, don't do that specific boundary. It's a different type of boundary, more like kind of educating the mother. More like saying, right? Instead of saying, I'm not going to talk to you, Mom, I'm enjoying my vacation. Instead, it's like, I trust you enough, Mom, that we can have a mature conversation. And I'm going to tell you, you're manipulating me. I don't like it. Maybe you're not aware. And then the mother might say, oh, I didn't realize that. I love you, and I'm not trying to manipulate you. And I miss you. But the one way to get an idea of what might happen is if you look at the history. How does Mom respond when she's confronted with something? In this case, how does she respond? crying, meltdown, throwing it back. So she might not be the best candidate for that. She might do something worse. She might even threaten to kill herself. Sometimes mothers do that, really. If you say, basically, you're manipulating me, she'll just be like, then forget it, I shouldn't even live, just forget it. They do dramatic things, potentially, if they feel really, But if you have a mother and daughter relationship where you're, for the most part, good and healthy, and the mother's doing something that seems a little off for her. It's not normal how she behaves. It's something a little off. It's not a pervasive pattern. Something seems strange. Something seems weird with how she's behaving this time. Then you might have a chance. And if you've already had hard conversations with her in the past, direct kind of negative feedback, and she's taken it well, then you could know, okay, based on our history, I've told her before I didn't like how she behaved in this situation, and she tried to understand more, she took it well, I feel safe. Then you could say, Mom, I want to tell you something. It's just my experience of how I feel. You may not agree. Would you be okay with me sharing with you that? Then you're prepping her a little bit, and she might be like, no, I don't want to hear that. I see it exactly clear. You're abandoning me for Christmas to be with your stupid girlfriend. What am I to you, chopped liver? Then you go, okay, I guess I'm not going to give feedback about, So you can test it out a little first. Just dip your big toe in, just say something a little and see how they respond, Janova?
It can be also tricky as the not thinking only about the mother, but how to give proper feedback. Because to say to your mother, like, you're kind of manipulating, but to say it in a way that she will not take it in a bad way, it's really hard. On my experience, giving feedbacks is really hard.
Very hard.
Especially when he was very triggered, he was very emotional.
Yeah.
So to do that, I think he will not be able to say in a loving, empathetic way.
Yeah. That's right, because if you think about it, he's already been trying for days. I'm so sorry, Mom, I'm so sorry, and still she's not pacified. So then if you go, okay, I'm not sorry, never mind, you're manipulating me, it's like, whoa. Or even if you say, I could be wrong, but I feel like there might be a 1% chance that you might be manipulating me, just a smidge in this situation. As soon as you say manipulation, she would probably lose it. And even if you have a good relation with somebody, a loving, trusting relationship, and you try to give some negative feedback, it's so triggering. So it's tricky, but that's why I wanted to talk about it, because this situation happens all the time. Where we're in some weird thing that we can't get out of with somebody that we love, basically, and it's hurtful. It's like, do I say it or not? Do I make some sort of boundary? Do I not? Do I just tolerate or not? If you really analyze your life, you're probably in one of those situations right now. There's somebody who's there and you're like, okay, I just try to tolerate, or should I say it? Should I say something? Or, I don't know, just manage my inner child, and is that it? I mean, that just feels so unsatisfying, right? So that's why I wanted to kind of highlight this, because it's a very common experience we have. You want to say something, Jai?
Many things were being said, so I find that you're right. First, it's very necessary to validate instead of first giving advice.
Yeah.
Because when someone is your friend, then obviously you want to connect with that person.
But at one point also, I was not doing it's like a faulty mic.
But after some time, I really got stuck, because it's true that she's my friend or he's my friend, and now I cannot, I'm with that person. I try to see how he will respond. So, but now for me as a friend or as a daughter or as whatever, to say that, well, I'm going on this trip and I got the relationship or something like Vilansdi was saying. Personally, I could not do that. But I will also not come back from the trip. I will stay there because
that's an interesting angle. Just don't come back. You'd stay there and what?
I would stay there and stay with my girlfriend or my boyfriend or whatever. But I would not say anything harsh, and that is something that I have learned in my life, that it doesn't matter what happens, but we can keep ourselves intact. You know? You can call it tolerating or having patience. Because the moment we say something harsh, it can indeed fire back.
Yeah, and people
Not
never
only
forget
that,
it, right?
Yeah, that the other person will do something, because I've seen, even in our community, people sometimes committing suicide because the mother said something wrong, or, you know. So, because we're dealing with people who have some psychological problems. So we should be very careful in how we deal with them, because otherwise we create another karma for ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think it's better to be good with our own inner child, to be tolerant, and just accept whatever happens. But I will also not come back.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let anyone
cancel the
sit
trip
or change my mind.
Yeah.
But so validating is good, and having a friend who validates. But then, you know, I think we should not use harsh words or something like cutting the relationship or something like that. That's I mean, this is my opinion.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because if you use a harsh word, people will never forget it. They'll remember it 10 years later, and they won't like you because you said that one thing that one time. That those words just stay in your head so long, you know. So the trick is the art of making a boundary with grace, I would say. How to do it in a way where you're taking care of you, but you don't say something hurtful. That's the trick. Because remember, like you're saying, it's those harsh words you can't take back, and people never forget them. And the ahankar is very sensitive. Not only that mother, everybody's ahankar. That is the definition. That is part of the definition of the characteristics of ahankar. Sensitive. And we know it. Think about the people that you hate in your life. Why do you hate them? There must have been something very horrible they said to you or did to you. And you don't forget it. And you're holding on to it 20 years later, right? So that's a very good point. Yeah.
I liked it. You said boundaries. Would you say holding on with grace, or making boundaries with grace? I like that. Yeah,
in fact, the other person shouldn't even know you made a boundary. They shouldn't even know you made a boundary. That's how you can do it. In other words, you take care of your inner child first, triggered up tantrum, take care of that, take care of your adult self, do what you need to do in your life, and be kind to the other person. Obviously, the mother has issues. So to try to educate her, change her, slap her down, like that's your inner child who's like, no, you know. So, but there's a way you can do it without her feeling hurt, but also respecting yourself, and that's the art. That's how to do it with grace, you know. So good job, you guys. Thank you for participating. Thank you for the conversation. And we will keep going with our Toxic Parents next week. An announcement I want to make before we move now into the Ask Dr. Joshi, just for the book club as well. If anybody's signing off, I'll just say it real quick, is that we're starting our Inner Child Camp next Thursday, which means it's the fourth Thursday of every month. It's an Inner Child Camp, and it's a paid option, okay? So you can look on our website. I'll tell you more about it, but the punchline is there's no book club on the fourth Thursday of every month, because during the time of the book club, I'm doing the Inner Child Camp. And the Inner Child Camp is not a membership. In other words, like the VP study group, when you sign up, you come every week. You know, the Inner Child Camp is a one-off. So you can choose to go to one workshop, that's all. It's not that every month you have to come. And you can, I've put the calendar, if you look on our website, it says Inner Child. You can read more about actually how it works. But the first workshop is next Thursday at 6:30, the time of the book club. And it won't be, it's not in person, it's on Zoom. Because for me, some of the people are going to be on person, and online, and some in person. It's too hard for me to do like this and then not see the people. So to keep it kind of like the VP study group, we're all sitting there online looking at each other on the camera. I'm in my room, and Kamala's in her room next door, but it's easier for us all to see each other and do the activities. And I talk a lot about inner child in all the groups I run, including this, you know. So you're going to learn how to befriend your inner child, and it's going to be very intimate and very safe space to start getting to know your inner child and how to work with your inner child. So it's just once a month, the fourth Thursday of every month is the Inner Child Camp, okay? And on the website there's more details, but I wanted to tell you because I'm not going to be here next Thursday for the book club, okay? So if you come to the Inner Child Camp, I'll see you there online. You can register on our website. If not, I'll see you in 2 weeks from today for 3 more weeks of the book club. That's how it's going to go, okay? And we'll get the hang of it after a while. And now we're going to do the Ask Dr. Joshi. So for that, Kamala's going to come up. It's Kamala's turn. For any of you who have not written a letter yet, you can. You just post it on the website. And I've posted clear instructions on how to actually do it. Because the first few, it was just us trying it out, Vilasanya and Shri and Kamala. It was just kind of trying out whatever question you had. But now I've made it more structured of how to do it, which means take one of our Vedic psychology quizzes. There's 7. Pick any one. Take the quiz and then try to understand the results in your life. Like if it's like, okay, I took the mind type, I'm sattvic. But then why am I doing this thing? Or how can I be, how can I be sattvic if I'm so anxious or whatever? Pick the survey you want and then analyze the results in your life first. And then then you can come and ask a question. Okay, I've taken this survey, here's my results. But I can't figure out why this or that or the other. Or here's my swabhava, like Vilas did. Or, like Nyan Shri did. This is my swabhava. I can't figure out which one am I really? And we figured out the samskara, right? So there's many types. You can figure out your personality type, your communication style type, your relationship. You can figure out your vata pitta kapha. It's weird, I'm vata, but why I'm having all these kapha symptoms? So it doesn't have to be your most deepest, most personal question. And for those of you who've sat here and watched Ask Dr. Joshi, and you've watched also the videos I've been posting, it can get very personal very fast, right? Right into a deep childhood wound. So if you choose to do this and be in the soft seat and be questioned by me, at any point you can say, okay, I don't want to talk about that. And I'll redirect myself and ask different questions. So don't feel scared that I'm going to go to your most vulnerable thing, It doesn't have to be like that. You can ask a question that's more just about in your daily life, something related to one of those surveys. And I think those surveys also help keep us not going into a very deep, more like therapy type of personal therapy question. Because we're all learning what these results mean, these survey results. What is your swabhava type? That's a fun one. We can go deep into that, So I just wanted to say that because it's a new program and it's starting to be a little more refined what it actually is. If you decide to post your letter, you can just post it right in Kajabi because you've all probably joined it. You're getting the email with the link to come. So you can see right there and you can see other people's letters. Other people have posted their letters. And so we won't have Ask Dr. Joshi as well next week because it's Inner Child Camp. So the first week of December then will be normal, back to the normal program of the book club and Ask Dr. Joshi. Okay? Thank you guys.